everybody, everything about the lion's mane mushrooms. Today I want to talk about the lion's mane mushroom, the substrate that we use in the compost and the growing lion's mane mushroom. First step, we have the two kind of lion's mane that they are most popular of them is like the lion's mane, this is both of them is a hericium. One of them is the hericium, lion's mane hericium, and this is the most popular. Another one I want to introduce you, this is the coral tooth. This is the local for Australia, and you know why this called coral tooth, because exactly like the coral, this is another kind of the hericium, coral tooth. Both of them has a medical usage is the same. Both of them uses the nervous system in the boost the brains, and helps improve the everything related to the brain and the nervous system. Both of them, and the lion's mane mushroom has two important chemical components, erinacin and herinosine. And also both of them has a same medical usage, but in the coral tooth is a little more sensitive, to the producing, more sensitive to the producing, a little harder than the lion's mane mushroom, this one. And the mycelium is very sensitive. Now, what is the substrate used for the compost? Okay, this is the compost that used for the lion's mane mushroom. What is this substrate? The substrate, I want to talk to you with a simple language. In the exotic mushroom compost, two things is important: carbon and nitrogen. You should gather the substrate that provide the carbon, like the sawdust, like the wood chips. This is a little larger than the sawdust, and with a straw. Okay, and this is to provide the carbon, sawdust, wood chips, and with a straw. This is for carbon, and for nitrogen, the mix of the meals of the oil seeds. After extracting the oil, you can use the residues of the meals of this oil seed. For the making the compost, for the providing the compost that you can harvest the mushroom, you should know, you should reach to the simple ratio, the ratio of carbon to nitrogen. That in the exotic mushroom or gourmet mushroom, you should provide between the 25 to 45 to 50. This is the ratio is important for every mushroom. We have the one ratio, but the lion's mane. That is, for the lion's mane mushroom, between the 30 to 35, it will be perfect for the making the compost of the lion's mane. In that we have a device that easily you give for example 10 samples you give to the device and immediately provide for us the ratio of the carbon nitrogen. What is the name of this machine? This is the near infrared spectroscopy. That is so expensive, near the $100,000, and that is good for the industrial scale. If you want to construct a huge factory, I recommend this. But in the home, or you want to monthly, for example, 1 ton or 2 tons, if you don't have any industrial factory, I recommend with a simple language. In my book, mentioned with a very, very simple language, and you exactly as much as the machine, you can understand how we can in the home reach to the ratio of the carbon to nitrogen. But after reaching the ratio of the carbon nitrogen, that is a step to N, what should you do? First step, you gather. This is completely dry. You should mix the with the straw, for example, the residues of the oil seed, and with the best ratio that you should calculate, and the wood chips. The amount of the carbon in the wood chips is near the 40, in the with the straw 50, and the sawdust 45. The amount of the carbon, and these oil seed like the soy, like the sunflower meals, like between the 6 to 7% the amount of the nitrogen. You should mix. When we mix, you start to the mixing in the blender, and simultaneously you amount of water. You should how much water depending on the substrate. For example, if this Videstra harvested 2 months ago, 3 months ago, due to the having the waxy materials, you need to more water. Near the 80% of the weight of the dry, the substrate, you should have water, even 100%. But if you harvest, for example, 1 year ago, because the waxy materials inside the Videstra gradually remove, maybe 40 or 50% amount of the water is good. You add whole of them and gradually add the water and then mix for the 30 minutes to 40 minutes. We completely mix. Then we back the substrate and put in the autoclave. Simply put in the autoclave in the 121 to 2 hours. After the 2 hours, you bring the substrate from the autoclave and allow to the substrate to the cooling down. Because if you immediately add the sponge to the substrate, because in the autoclave the temperature is very high and all your sponge will be destroyed. Therefore 3 or 4 hours you should wait and gradually start to the cooling down, and after 4 hours when the temperature inside the substrate is near the 25 centigrade is the best for adding the sponge. For example, lion's mane sponge you can add under the laminar hood. Very important. In the laminar hood you can add the laminar hood, then the back, then put in the dark condition in the 40 days 25 centigrade, then start to the mycelium. Then we reach to the lion's mane mushroom. Okay, purchasing the material, adding the material, adding the water mix, back in the compost, putting in the autoclave. Then after autoclave, after 4 hours, after the cooling down, we can add a sponge 5% of the weight of the total substrate, and then we put them for the 14 days to the 20 days for the mycelium run. After then completely converted to the white, you can open and you can reach to the fruiting. And this beautiful lion's mane mushroom, the best temperature for the lion's mane mushroom is between the 15, tolerates between even the 12 to 20 centigrade. 8 centigrade we have the fluctuation, no worries. But even if you want to, for every day, in my book mention from the beginning of the day which temperature is needed if you want, but tolerate between the 12 to 20 centigrade tolerate. And unlike the color oyster, like the yellow oyster that needs the temperature 21 centigrade and the pink oyster need to 21 centigrade, this need to the low temperature, the lion's mane. The best medical usage of the lion's mane is the improves your brain. Now I want to harvest. Today I want to make a pizza, and amazing. I will show you. You can harvest both of them with the hand or with the knife. But you can remove this one and you can harvest. These bags, we have the standards. In the 100 square meters, you can put easily 20 ton substrate. The weight of the standards of the weight of each compost substrate is the 2.5 kilogram. The best standards for the harvesting, 50% of the weight of the substrate you should harvest mushroom. For example, if the weight of this bag is 2 kilogram, you should harvest 1 kilogram via 2 flash. First flash, 500 gram, and then 7 days rest. Then again, you can harvest 500 grams the rest. This is the sign. 50% of the weight of the whole of the substrate. If this 2 kilogram, you should harvest 1 kilogram fresh mushroom. And I want to harvest. Now, I'm harvesting the beautiful lion's mane. You can also harvest any of the mushroom shouldn't remain on the substrate because they provide the fungal diseases. And totally harvested, and they should provide for the new flash. Now harvest. I harvested. You have two options. I recommend always it's better you sell your products on fresh. But if you don't have customer at time or you want to wait, you can dry in the 45 centigrade during 2 hours and convert it. But always recommend you should find your customer before producing your mushrooms, and you can just sell. The price of this lion's mane mushroom in the Australia is per kilogram 60 Australian dollars. In the Germany 70 euros. One of the most expensive mushroom in the world. In the UAE, near the 200 dirhams per kilogram the fresh mushrooms. I recommend. Thank you. If you need my book, everything in my book completely explained about the growing and composting exotic mushroom, about the mushroom, the lion's mane, shiitake, red ganoderma, yellow ganoderma, color oyster, the namiko, and the king oyster, also gray oyster, cordyceps, all kind of the mushroom explained in my book. Plus a complete business plan in my book. I have explained how you can this business commercial explain, and for the I have mentioned the contact number for the buying the spawn, for the substrate, for the buying the material, shelves, and the equipment for the composting, like the blender, autoclave, a laminar hood, bags, everything that you need. I have mentioned the best company and with a suitable price for the buying. More than this, I have to explain with a timetable for every day. Explain for each mushroom. I explain which substrate is suitable for all mushroom, with the disease and disorders, with the irrigation regulation, how we can do water. If you learn everything, you can harvest the best thing. If you need my book, text me on WhatsApp 0098935825345. Thank you.